Good evening. This 82nd meeting of the 72nd term of the Baltimore City Council is now called to order. Members of the council, due to us being in a virtual meeting, please note that I will recognize you by saying you have the floor. Once I recognize you, please state your name and begin talking. Tonight's invocation will be delivered by Pastor Hinton of the Gwent Oak United Methodist Church. Following the invocation, we will have the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor? Anita.
Now, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Let us pray. God of yesterday, today, and tomorrow, bless these your servants with wisdom, understanding, counsel, knowledge, and fortitude. Help them to meet today's urgent needs as they plant a tree under which they may never see shade. Let them honor the past while seeking justice for today. May their vision go beyond the confines of time and seek a new city, not merely restored, but ready for a new future. Keep them safe, that they may deliberate out of hope, not out of fear. Bless this, your city of Baltimore, its leadership, its residents, and all who work and visit here. May your presence be known for all. In the name of God, the Father, Christ, and the Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
To give him that prayer.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Showcase Baltimore. And thank you. Tonight's Showcase Baltimore presenter will be Antoine Banks from Comcast. He will be giving us an update on Comcast's efforts during the COVID-19 crisis. If you have additional questions or concerns, please reach out to him via email or phone. As we all know Antoine very well from his time here working at the City Council in the Office of Legislative Services. Mr. Banks, welcome back to Virtual City Hall. The floor is yours. Mr. Banks, you have to unmute yourself. There you go.
Well, thank you all so much. Do I have an ability to show you guys a presentation? I have, okay.
Yep, you do. You have the ability to share your screen.
Okay. It's not there on this side. Okay.
One second, Antoine.
Oh, no problem at all.
Antoine, you should be good to go now if you go to share.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you all. So can you see it?
Yes, sir.
Oh, great. So again, thanks for inviting me to share with the council all that Comcast has done to keep Baltimore City and its communities connected to during this pandemic. So as you know, COVID-19 has had a tremendous impact on nearly every aspect of our daily lives. And at Comcast, we're working hard to do everything we can to support our business and residential customers, employees, and communities during this unprecedented time. So for one, we know that our services matter more now than ever, as thousands across Baltimore City rely on our internet and phone connectivities to work from home, access news, educational and health information, and connect with loved ones. And since 2011, Comcast has invested $2.3 billion in our technology and infrastructure in Maryland, which has allowed us to provide a state-of-the-art network in Baltimore, as well as a broadband access to every community in the city. So with so many people now working from home and homeschooling, we see an unprecedented shift in usage. But it's well within our network's capability, and we continue to deliver the speeds and support the capacity our customers need while they're working from home, learning, and connecting from home. In fact, we have hundreds of our employees focused on network reliability and performance. While the majority of our retail stores were closed throughout the region, we shifted all those employees to other roles by providing additional phone support for our customers. And across our businesses, we have committed $500 million to support our employees through continued pay and benefits where operations have either been paused or impacted, and we have committed significant resources to support our customers. And these include keeping customers connected, making changes to our Internet Essential offers, and increase access to resources and information as much more. So we have temporarily limited our technicians' in-home visits and enable our call center staff to work from home, all in an effort to protect our customers and employees while continuing to provide our support to customers as needed. Of course, Xfinity Help is always available on a smartphone through X1 and online. So customers can also chat with us anytime on the My Account app, the Xbuy app, and using Facebook Messenger. We encourage customers to use the digital tools to manage their channel lineups, pay bills, and even troubleshoot any issues that may arise with their devices. For certain issues like down wires or misapplied payments, customers can even file a report online. So during this pandemic, can you guys hear me? I'm seeing the blip.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So during this pandemic, and as part of our commitment to keep customers connected to what matters most, Comcast will not disconnect internet, voice, or any services for any customer through June 30th, 2020. However, customers who otherwise have been connected for non-payments will be transitioned to the Xfinity Assistance Program at a lower monthly price. Customers do not need to contact us to be transitioned to the Xfinity Assistance Plan. It will happen automatically after a notice. Our care teams are available to work with customers and offer flexible payment options if needed. Additionally, Comcast business customers can find more information at comcastbusiness.com/response. So Comcast is also committed to making staying at home a little easier for our customers. We've made an on-demand programming for dozens of our entertainment networks and subscription video services available for X1, Xfinity X1 Flex customers to enjoy for free. All these customers have to do is say free into the Xfinity Voice remote. We also announced that nearly 2,000 hours of programming and thousands of free titles will be available through Xfinity On Demand, giving children and parents quick and easy access to educational programs as many families are now homeschooling. And beyond free educational content and resources, we've expanded our affordable internet offerings and provided additional resources for students and their families, low-income seniors, the disabled, veterans, and any Baltimore City residents who received any federal assistance prior to COVID-19. Xfinity is now offering eligible university students who live in our service area and need internet services a Visa prepaid card worth about 2 months of internet services. This comes with no upfront fees and no installation cost. And on March 12th, we introduced 2 substantial enhancements to our Internet Essentials program, which is the nation's largest and most comprehensive broadband adoption program for low-income Americans. We made it easier for low-income families to sign up by offering new eligible customers 60 days of complimentary internet services, which is normally available to qualified low-income households for $9.95. We increased internet speed and essential services from 15 megabytes to 25 megabytes for all new and existing customers, which is a permanent change and will be tremendous benefits to our customers. So, how to apply? So, applying is easy. The answer is simple. Students and their families, low-income seniors, the disabled, veterans, and any Baltimore City residents who received any federal assistance such as SNAP, housing, VA pension, SSI, etc., prior to COVID-19 is eligible to apply for Internet Essentials. It's easy. Once approved, families can purchase a desktop, laptop, or Chromebook for $150. And it's easy to get affordable high-speed internet at home with our program. Residents just need to follow 4 simple steps. So step 1, qualify. They must be eligible for the National School Lunch Program and a recipient of federal assistance, including disability and veterans pensions. They must live in an area where Comcast is serviced. There must not be an existing Xfinity Internet customer, and they must not owe an outstanding debt to Comcast that's less than 1 year old. But due to the COVID-19, any household with outstanding debt owed may be eligible for Internet Essentials. We are waiving these qualifications. If a person applied and or approved by June 30th, after June 30th, standard eligibility applies. Signing up is easy. All you have to do is call 1-855-8-INTERNET, apply online, or from a mobile device. Applicants may be approved instantly. So I want to emphasize the simplest, fastest, and easiest way to apply for the program is from a mobile device at www.internetessentials.com. And next, get approved. Applicants will be notified via text messages, email, or U.S. mail if they are approved. And if we need documents, the fastest way to get or submit any documents to us is to take a picture with the camera phones and upload the documents right on the application. And step 4 is we want to make it easy as possible and as simplest to access the service. Get online. So very early on in the COVID-19 crisis, we made the decision to support our customers and educate as many partners as possible. On Friday, March 13th, many of you received my COVID-19 email and many updates following. Many organizations reach out to help spread the message about our response and our special Internet Essentials offer. To date, we are working closely with the Baltimore City Public School System to educate families and employees about IE. We shipped 16,000 plus flyers to food distribution sites. We secured 7,000 of the 12,000 laptops needed for purchase by BCPS. We offered on-call support to school leadership to help quickly answer questions regarding our IE program. And for our Baltimore City nonprofits partners, we continue to provide bi-weekly updates on IE and program enhancements throughout the stay-at-home order. And we encourage our partners in area school systems to utilize our Internet Essentials Sponsored Services Program, which enables our partners to pay for their Internet Essentials services for their constituents who may experience hardship even after COVID-19. And many of our partners in the counties chose this option in place of the opportunity cost that some of you all may be very familiar with. So we value our relationship with Baltimore City. And despite not being able to hire Baltimore City students in the Youth Works summer program, Comcast is continuing our long-standing support of $40,000 per year to pay for the salaries of 25 Youth Work participants. And also our employees were unable to lend a hand this year at the Rachel Wilson Memorial Park for our Comcast Cares Day. We hope that our contributions will continue to honor the legacy of the late Baltimore firefighter, Rachel Wilson. In addition, we're collaborating with our philanthropic partners at the Fund for Excellence, Educational Excellence, to provide more than $1 million to address the food shortage and security in Baltimore City's children, families, and communities. I know that's a lot, but it is what we're doing to answer the call. And again, I thank you for this opportunity to highlight Comcast's commitment to our long-standing partnership with the city. I will send you my presentation shortly. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me via phone and or email. And I would like to say thank you for your leadership during this unprecedented time. And please remain safe and healthy out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Banks. Roll call. The clerk will now call the roll of the members.
President Scott.
Present.
Councilman Cohen. Councilman Cohen.
Present.
Councilwoman McCray.
Present.
Councilman Dorsey.
Present.
Councilman Henry.
Here.
Councilman Schleifer.
Here.
Vice President Middleton.
Here.
Councilman Pinkett.
Present.
Councilman Burnett. Councilman Bullock.
Here.
Councilman Reisinger.
Here.
Councilman Costello.
Present.
Councilman Stokes.
Council, here.
Councilwoman Sneed.
Here.
Councilwoman Clark.
Here.
Mr. President, we have a quorum.
Thank you. We will now proceed with the adoption of the journal.
Mr. President, the journal of the April 13, 2020 proceedings is affixed to this meeting and was sent to the inboxes of every member.
Thank you. Without objection, the journal will be adopted. Journal is adopted. Bill signed by the mayor can be found on page 2. Bills to be introduced.
City Council Bill 20-0521, Supplementary General Fund Operating Appropriation. Sheriff, $37,600. For the purpose of providing a supplementary general fund operating appropriation in the amount of $37,600 to the Sheriff, Service 882, Deputy Sheriff Enforcement, to provide funding to improve the recruitment and retention of the Sheriff's Court Security Officers and providing for a special effective date. Sponsors, City Council President, on behalf of the administration, Councilman Cohen.
This has been assigned to the Budget and Appropriations Committee.
City Council Bill 20-0522, Board of Municipal and Zoning Appeals, repeal of physically present requirements. For the purpose of repealing certain provisions in the zoning code regarding the Board of Municipal and Zoning Appeals that require members of the board to be physically present during a hearing and for voting, and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor, Schleifer, on behalf of the administration, President Scott, Henry, Cohen, Burnett, Costello.
Councilman Schleifer, you want to speak to this bill?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President. So the reason for this bill, when all this situation started, I had a constituent that reached out who has a case of ALS, and his condition is getting worse. And what he was looking to do was have a zoning hearing so that he can build a single-story addition onto his house, and that could be his new room. I later found out that the hearings had been canceled because they weren't able to have in-person meetings, and it's currently in the rules that they have in-person meetings. And so I worked with the administration on this to be able to have these hearings virtually, just like we're doing now, and hopefully that can continue so that we do not freeze business as usual that needs to happen because of this pandemic.
Thank you. This has been assigned to the Judiciary Committee.
City Council Bill 20-0523, City Streets Closing a portion of West 24th Street for the purpose of condemning and closing a 13.5-foot wide portion of West 24th Street, shown on Plat 330-A-27A in the Office of the Department of Transportation, and providing for a special effective date. Sponsors, City Council President, on behalf of the administration, Cohen.
This has been assigned to the Housing and Urban Affairs Committee.
City Council Bill 20-0524, City Streets Closing 10-foot alley bounded by Hartford Road, Normal Avenue, and Cliffview Avenue. For the purpose of condemning and closing a 10-foot alley bounded by Hartford Road, Normal Avenue, and Cliffview Avenue, as shown on Plat 161-A-65A in the Office of the Department of Transportation, and providing for a special effective date. Sponsors, City Council President, on behalf of the administration, Cohen.
This has been assigned to the Housing and Urban Affairs Committee.
City Council Bill 20-0525, Zoning, Conditional Use Conversion of a Single-Family Dwelling Unit to 2 dwelling units in the R8 Zoning District, Variance 316 East 21st Street, for the purpose of permitting, subject to certain conditions, the conversion of a single-family dwelling unit to 2 dwelling units in the R8 Zoning District on the property known as 316 East 21st Street, as outlined in red on the accompanying plat, and granting a variance from certain bulk regulations. Sponsors, Stokes, Cohen.
Chair recognizes Councilman Stokes if you want to speak to the bill.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President. This is just a conditional use conversion from a single-family unit to two dwellings, and it has the support of Greater Greenmount Community Association also. Thank you.
Thank you. This has been assigned to the Land Use Committee.
City Council Bill 20-0526, Baltimore City COVID-19 Renter Relief Act, for the purpose of prohibiting the increase of rent during and after certain declared emergencies, prohibiting certain notices to tenants, requiring certain notices to tenants, prohibiting certain late fees, defining certain terms, providing for a date of termination of the prohibitions, providing for a special effective date, and generally relating to protecting Baltimore City tenants. Sponsors, President Scott, Henry, Cohen, Dorsey, Burnett, Pinkett, Bullock, Clark.
Thank you. Please, Council Vice President Middleton, Councilman Reisinger, Councilman Costello, Councilman Sneed, Councilman Stokes as co-sponsors, please. Thank you. Thank you, and thank you all for your co-sponsorship. We understand and we know that Baltimore is a city where renters are a huge part of our population, and anytime we're dealing with the way we deal with the government, especially during an emergency like COVID-19, we must deeply consider their needs. When you don't know where your next check is coming from, you shouldn't have to stress about whether your landlord is raising rent during the biggest health and economic emergency of our lifetime. I will continue to do everything in my power to support all Baltimoreans during this uncertain time and look forward to a speedy hearing in the Land Use Committee. This bill has been assigned to the Land Use Committee. Resolutions to be introduced.
City Council Resolution 20-0213R, informational hearing, COVID-19 emergency spending, for the purpose of inviting the Director of the Department of Finance and other representatives from the Department of Finance to provide the City Council with an update on COVID-19 emergency spending. Sponsors, Pinkett, President Scott, Henry, Cohen, Burnett, Bullock, Clark.
Please add the Council President, Council Vice President, Councilwoman Sneed, Councilman Reisinger as co-sponsors. Councilman Stokes as a co-sponsor. Chair recognizes Councilman Pinkett.
Thank you, Mr. President. We realize that what we're facing under this pandemic is unprecedented, which puts great strain on our economics as well as our budget, requiring us to have significant amount of emergency spending. But even in light of that, it's still important that we remain transparent and that our process remains equitable. And so this resolution just calls the Director of Finance to come before the Council to present the process by which we are moving forward with emergency spending with great detail as it relates to our local and minority spending. We know that in other situations where there's been emergency spending, oftentimes the local and minority firms are being left out. And so we want to just make certain that all of our firms, all of our businesses are included. And so thank you for the co-sponsors, and I appreciate your support.
Thank you. This has been assigned to the Budget and Appropriations Committee.
City Council Resolution 20-0214, recognizing May 1st as Charm City Cheers Day, sent to frontline workers for the purpose of recognizing May 1st as Charm City Cheers Day for all of the frontline workers who are risking their lives to help keep society running. Sponsors, Sneed, President Scott, Henry, Cohen, Dorsey, Burnett, Pinkett, Bullock, Clark.
Please add Councilman Reisinger, Council Vice President Middleton. Somebody else has the Council President, the co-sponsor. Chair record, Councilman Stokes. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Sneed. As well.
Thank you. I keep saying every week that I've been thanking our frontline workers and our essential personnel because of all the hard work that they've been doing. And I've said it over and over again, it's hard times for everyone. And just the fact that some of these workers can't be home with their families, but they're putting their lives and their families' lives at risk for us to serve us. So this Friday is going to be May Day, a day celebrated for the tribulations and the triumphs of working people. So I just want to applaud Baltimore's frontline workers introducing Resolution 20-0214, recognizing May 1st as Charm City Chairs Day, thanking frontline workers and utilizing social distancing protocols. We asked our neighbors, our coworkers, and friends, and everyone to just step outside at 7 p.m. to thank those on the front line who are working to keep us all safe and sustained. For 2 minutes, just 2 minutes, everyone, let's make some noise and unite Baltimore's neighborhood in solidarity and celebration. So I look forward to seeing everyone's post in reference to this to make and thank our frontline workers. Thank you, everyone.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Snead. Councilwoman, you want to move to have the rules suspended?
Yes, I move to have the rules suspended for immediate adoption.
Without objection, the rules will be suspended. The rules are suspended. Roll call.
President Scott.
Yes.
Councilman Craig.
Yes.
Councilwoman Craig.
Yes.
Councilman Dorsey.
Yes.
Councilman Henry.
Yes.
Councilman Schleifer.
Yes.
Vice President Middleton.
And you couldn't have picked a better day, my birthday.
Yay!
Yes.
Councilman Hunt.
Yes.
Councilman Burnett.
Yes.
Councilman Bullock.
Yes.
Councilman Reisinger.
Yes.
Councilman Costello.
Yes.
Councilman Stokes.
Yes.
Sponsor Snead.
Yes.
Councilwoman Clark.
Yes, I'd like to ask the sponsor, if I may, Mr. President, to tell us what we're supposed to do to help celebrate this great idea.
So you're literally going to step outside your door and just clap with your other neighbors, or you'll just be able to go to your window to clap and look out. We just want to do it all together at 7 o'clock. So whether it's, it's cheers, it's smiling, clapping, we just want to practice social distancing, and that's why we're not going to hug anybody. But it's just cheering and clapping and just thanking them. If we have to scream it from the rooftop, thank you, everyone. Who's reporting to work every day, whether you're at the grocery store or at the hospital. We appreciate you, a firefighter, a police officer. We thank you. And even us, you guys have been out there spreading the word that, stay safe and healthy. So keep up the good work, everybody.
Thank you. The motion is approved. This resolution has been adopted.
City Council Resolution 20-0215R, State of Emergency Continuation. For the purpose of expressing the Baltimore City Council's consent under State Public Safety Article 14-111 for extending and continuing the Mayor's State of Emergency Declaration dated March 18, 2020. Sponsor, Burnett, on behalf of the administration, President Scott, Henry, Cohen, Dorsey, Clark, Costello.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilman Councilman Burnett, please add Councilman Reisinger, Councilman Pinkett, Councilwoman Middleton as co-sponsors, Councilman Stokes as a co-sponsor. Chair recognizes Councilman Burnett.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. This is a resolution in support of the mayor's extension of the state of emergency and all of the guidance that has come with that. The administration asked that the council move this forward so that we are in lockstep with the administration in making sure that we're continuing to protect the citizens of Baltimore.
Thank you. And before you make your motion, I just want to say that this is a crucial thing. As the City Council, we must pass this resolution in order to allow the mayor to extend the emergency due to COVID-19. The mayor can only call a state of emergency for up to 30 days. The City Council, we understand the importance of this at this moment. We will continue to be guided by the public health professionals and the science about when it's fully safe to reopen our city, and that's how we will go about making that decision. And Councilman Burnett, I'm going to call on you to move to suspend rules.
Thank you, Mr. President. I make a motion to suspend the necessary rules for immediate adoption.
Without objection, the rules will be suspended. The rules are suspended. Roll call.
President Scott,
Yes.
Councilman Cohen,
Yes.
Councilwoman McCray,
Yeah.
Councilman Dorsey,
Yes.
Councilman Henry,
Yes.
Councilman Schleifer,
Yes.
Vice President Middleton,
Yes.
Councilman Pinkett,
Yes.
Sponsor Burnett,
Yes.
Councilman Bullock,
Yes.
Councilman Reisinger,
Yes.
Councilman Costello,
Yes.
Councilman Stokes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sneed,
Yes, and can you add me as a co-sponsor?
Councilwoman Clark.
Yes.
The motion is approved. This resolution has been adopted.
City Council Resolution 20-0216R, request for federal action, direct rental housing assistance during the COVID-19 pandemic, for the purpose of calling on the United States Congress to create a direct rental housing assistance fund to assist residents and stabilize communities. Sponsor, President Scott, Henry, Cohen, Dorsey, Burnett, Pinkett.
Please add Council Vice President Middleton, Councilman Stokes, Councilwoman Clark as co-sponsors, Councilwoman Sneed, Councilman Reisinger, all as co-sponsors. Thank you all. As I said earlier, Councilman Scheifler, as I said earlier, we know how deeply Baltimore is with renters, and we know that our wonderful folks in Congress have been working to try to aid the American people. But what we are saying with this resolution is that we know that renters need direct assistance as well, just as homeowners and other individuals. What we're asking them to do is to consider adding in resources directly to impact renters' ability to have assistance from their government, simply just doing what they've done for so many different organizations or types of American citizens. We know that renters here in Baltimore mean so much to the vibrancy of our city and are at the core of our city, but we know that's also the case throughout our state and throughout our country. And with that, I will turn to Councilman Dorsey to move to suspend rules for immediate adoption.
Mr. Council President, I will make a motion to suspend the rules for immediate adoption of this bill.
Without objection, the rules will be suspended. The rules are suspended. Roll call.
President Scott,
Yes.
Councilman Cohen,
Yes.
Councilwoman McCray,
Yes.
Councilman Dorsey,
Yes.
Councilman Henry,
Yes.
Councilman Schleifer, Vice President Middleton,
Yes.
Councilman Pinkett,
Yes.
Councilman Burnett,
Yes.
Councilman Bullock,
Yes.
Councilman Reisinger,
Yes.
Councilman Costello,
Yes.
Councilman Stokes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sneed,
Yes.
Councilwoman Clark.
Yes.
Motion is approved. This resolution has been adopted. We will now move to bills on second reader. Committee reports. Education and Youth Committee.
Short titles, Mr. President.
Say again, Caleb?
Short titles.
Oh, yes. Sorry about that.
Mr. President.
Yep. Chair recognizes Councilman Costello.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we read short titles for second and third reader for the duration of the hearing.
Without objection, we will read short titles for the remainder of the meeting. Short titles will be read for the remainder of the meeting. Education and Youth Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President.
No, it's not you. You have to read the bill first, Councilman.
City Council Bill 20-0519, Children and Youth Fund, Establishment of Permanent Fiscal Agent.
Thank you. I think that this is a critical piece of legislation. Before I turn it over to Councilman Cohen, I know how critical this piece of legislation is, and we know that we have been working, as many of you know, in partnership about specifically around the digital divide. And when you're dealing with something like this pandemic, something that we've never seen before, the pre-existing digital divide and food access issues require us to use out-of-the-box means to address these issues. We must do this by shedding light on the digital divide and by putting politics aside and working with everyone to meet the needs of Baltimoreans and our most important Baltimoreans, which are our young people. We can expect that young people will have access to the computers they need to keep up with their studies during this pandemic. We also need to keep in mind that these computers are not just for older students, but for also kids in the critical learning years with the odds already stacked against them to begin with. We know that this piece of legislation also, the amendments that the councilman is getting ready to speak on, also talks about using youth fund money to work towards these issues that we've been highlighting for food and digital access. And this would be the only time and only kind of situation which I would consider dipping into a fund that is allocated for other reasons. But our children need food and digital access now. So this is a no-brainer for me and something that I've been proud to partner on, proud to lead the effort on. Chair recognized Councilman Collins.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Children and Youth Fund was first introduced by Mayor, then Council President Jack Young in 2015. At that time, I was the director of a youth leadership organization, and I remember the sense of possibility that my students felt as we advocated for the Youth Fund. That was the year that Freddie Gray died in police custody. The systems that led Freddie to be lead paint poisoned, to live in substandard housing, to receive an inadequate education, to be swindled out of his lead poisoning settlement, and ultimately to have his spine severed were the same systems that colluded to harm so many of my students and children throughout our state. The idea that Baltimore, a pioneer in redlining, the war on drugs, subprime lending, and so many other racially unjust policies, could also be a pioneer in creating a fund to directly support Baltimore's children with a lens toward equity and community participation was revolutionary. The Youth Fund has been anything but easy. I remember my students advocating with Jack Young and members of the previous city council to override the former mayor's veto. I remember the many meetings that were held in community with LBS and so many individuals and organizations calling on the city to recognize and fund the people that have not received recognition, grants, or media attention, but nonetheless are doing the work. I remember the first years of funding that went out and the many bumps and challenges that the fund encountered. But throughout this process, we have maintained a lens toward racial equity and community participation. Community has led this process. In this moment of COVID-19 crisis, there remains a critical role for the Youth Fund to play. As he mentioned, President Scott and I have been in an ongoing conversation with Mayor Young and his administration about a one-time emergency request to help close the digital divide and support food access for our children. I want to thank President Scott for his partnership and leadership, and thank Mayor Young for his commitment to making it happen. And let me be clear, too, that this request comes directly from our community. We heard the call from over 50 organizations that wrote a letter asking us to help close the digital divide. The Digital Equity Coalition has been pushing us all the way to respond. We heard from parents, from students, educators who simply cannot learn because they don't have a laptop and can't get online. Tonight, we will pass this bill and open the possibility for a one-time authorization of funds to help close the digital divide and provide food for our kids. Tonight, I ask my colleagues to support the authorization of the permanent fiscal agent. By reading this bill, we will begin the process of giving the Youth Fund its full independence and allowing the community to determine priorities. For my students, this work has come full circle. Mr. President, there are amendments on my colleagues' desks. I move the amendments.
All those in favor of approving the amendment, say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. Amendments are approved. Chair recognized Councilman Cohen.
Mr. President, I move the bill favorably as amended.
All those in favor of approving this bill, say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. The motion is approved. This bill moves to third reader. Chair recognizes Councilman Cohen.
Mr. President, I move to invoke City Council Rule 12-1 for same-day advancement from second to third reader.
Roll call.
President Scott,
Yes.
Councilman Cohen,
Yes.
Councilman McCray,
Yeah.
Councilman Dorsey,
Yes.
Councilman Henry,
Yes.
Councilman Schleifer,
Yes.
Vice President Middleton,
Yes.
Councilman Pinkett,
Yes.
Councilman Burnett,
Yes.
Councilman Bullock,
Yes.
Councilman Reisinger,
Yes.
Councilman Costello,
Yes.
Councilman Stokes.
I just have a question real quick. Is that all right?
Yeah.
How many computers are we purchasing?
Councilman, you can get that. We'll give you that information later on.
Okay, yes.
Yes, sir.
Councilwoman Sneed, Councilwoman Sneed. So that is a yes, Councilwoman Sneed. Councilwoman Clark.
Yes.
All right, the ayes have it. This bill will be read on third reader. Equity and Structure Committee.
City Council Bill 19-0441, Charter Amendment, Charter Review Commission.
Chair recognizes Councilman Henry.
Thank you, Mr. President. This bill came most recently out of committee on April 21st. It was approved favorable with amendments. Amendments were sent to council members electronically. I would like to move the committee amendments.
All those in favor of approving the amendment, say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. The amendments are approved. Please note, Councilman Costello is a nay. Chair recognizes Councilman Henry.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill favorable as amended.
All those in favor of approving this bill, say aye.
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 Aye. Say nay.
Nay.
Please note, Councilman Costello as a nay. The ayes have it. It still moves to third reader.
City Council Bill 20-0491, Charter Amendment, City Auditor, Powers and Duties.
Chair recognizes Councilman Henry.
Thank you, Mr. President. This charter amendment was also reported out of committee on the 21st. It is favorable and without amendments. I move the bill favorably.
All those in favor of approving this bill, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Please note, Councilman Costello is a nay. The motion is approved. This moves to third reader. Executive Appointments Committee. Executive Appointments Committee?
Yes? The executive appointments,
Oh, Kayla has to read it first. Council.
yes, that's what I was waiting for, okay.
My apologies. EA 20-0268, Eric Stevenson.
Chair recognizes Councilman Stokes.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Executive Appointments Committee held a hearing on April the 22nd at 10 a.m. I move the nomination favorable.
All those in favor of approving this nomination, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. The nomination is approved. Housing and Urban Affairs Committee. Housing and Urban Affairs Committee. Oh,
City Council Bill,
pause for a second, Mr. Young.
yes, sir.
Councilwoman Clark. You have to unmute yourself, Councilwoman.
I just wanted to ask the chair of the committee to tell our general public what Mr. Stevenson has been, is being appointed to.
Oh, I will do that. He is now the 9th District Rep on the Planning Commission. Thank you, Councilwoman. Housing and Urban Affairs Committee.
City Council Bill 19-0465, Port Covington District and Port Covington Community Benefits District Management Authority.
Chair recognizes Councilman Bullock.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. The Housing and Urban Affairs Committee heard this bill on April 21st. There are amendments on your files.
All those in favor, you have to move the amendment.
Move the amendment favorable.
All those in favor of approving the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
Abstain.
Please note Councilman Dorsey as an abstention. Chair recognizes, the amendments are approved. Chair recognizes Councilman Bullock.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill favorable as amended.
All those in favor of approving this bill, say aye.
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 All opposed say nay.
Mr. Council President.
Chair recognizes Councilman Dorsey.
Thank you, Mr. President. During the hearing on this bill, I expressed my concerns over the fact that this management area includes every square inch of the Port Covington Peninsula except for the property owned by Under Armour. And I can't understand why Under Armour, as a relatively minor contributor to this management area and the funding, why they would be cut out of this, except for very deliberately and for a business that has had so much work done on its behalf to make its name essentially synonymous with Baltimore City and with and synonymous with the benefits of the TIF that is going to Port Covington. I can't accept that they're not going to contribute to the financing, the benefits that will come through this to the Port Covington area. For that reason, I have to vote no on this. Thank you.
Please note Councilman Dorsey as a no. The motion is approved. This bill moves to third reader.
City Council Bill 20-0484, Midtown Community Benefits District and Management Authority, renewal through June 30, 2024.
Chair recognizes Councilman Bullock.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee heard this bill on April 21st. There are no amendments. I move the bill favorable.
All those in favor of approving this bill say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. The motion is approved. This bill moves to third reader. Judiciary Committee.
City Council Bill 20-0505, Building, Fire, and Related Codes, 2020 edition.
Chair recognizes Councilman Costello.
Thank you, Mr. President. Kalen, we have amendments for this, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
The amendments are on my colleague's desk, Mr. President. I move the amendments.
All those in favor of approving the amendment say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. The amendments are approved. Chair recognizes Councilman Costello.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill favorably as amended.
All those in favor of approving this bill say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. The motion is approved. This bill moves to third reader. Chair recognizes Councilman Costello.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move we suspend the rules to move a bill to third reader on the same day.
Roll call.
President Scott.
Yes.
Councilman Cohen.
Yes.
Councilwoman McCray.
Yes.
Councilman Dorsey. Councilman Dorsey.
Mr. Council President, if I may ask the committee chair a question about the amendments.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, were any of the amendments to this bill pertaining to the fire code or the Appendix D of the fire code or any of the provisions that we modified in 2018?
I do not believe so. That being said, I'm pulling up the amendments right now. Mr. President, do you want me to get an answer on that first? Or how would you like me to proceed? Because I'm going to need a little bit of time.
Well, the amendments have been approved, so we can follow up with the amendments have already been approved. And there's already in the roll call for the motion, so I would just ask that the councilman follow up with you.
Not a problem. Thank you, Mr. President.
Abstain.
Thank you, Councilman.
Councilman Henry.
Well, my colleague has just raised an interesting point where now I'm a little nervous that if we did actually change any of the stuff that we worked on back in 18, oh, okay, I'm getting a head shake that that's probably not the case. So I will vote yes.
Councilman Schleifer.
Yes.
Vice President Middleton,
Yes.
Councilman Pinkett,
Yes.
Councilman Burnett,
Yes.
Councilman Bullock,
Yes.
Councilman Reisinger,
Yes.
Councilman Costello,
Yes.
Councilman Stokes,
Yes.
Councilwoman Sneed,
Yes.
Councilwoman Clark. Councilwoman
Thank
Clark.
that.
Yes, you are.
I'm voting yes. I just would like to add, I have special interest in this code, and I believe I'm correct in going through it, that the only amendments are floodplain amendments that I saw in the list of amendments. So if it's not the floodplain you're asking about, I don't believe there are amendments, but of course I defer to my chairman. I'm the vice chair of that committee. Thank you.
Mr. President, if I may.
Yep, Chair recognizes Councilman Costello.
Thank you, Mr. President. I believe that Vice Chair Clark is correct. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilman Dorsey, want to come to you, see if that was clarification enough for you.
Yes, Mr. Council President, I've given it a quick review and I'm satisfied. I'll vote yes on the passage of third reader.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, may I say a word?
Chair recognizes Councilman Clark.
This is a historic moment for me. Thank you for everybody agreeing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's not push it too far.
The ayes have it. This bill moves to third reader today. Land Use Committee.
City Council Bill 19-0449, zoning, use regulations, neighborhood, commercial establishments.
Chair recognizes Councilman Reisinger.
Mr. President, my colleagues should have the amendments. I move the amendments.
Mr. Councilman, you want to move the amendments before the findings of fact?
There are no finding of facts.
Okay, cool. All right. All those in favor of approving the amendment say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. The amendments are approved. Chair recognizes Councilman Reisinger.
Mr. President, I move the bill favorable as amended.
All those in favor of approving this bill say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. The motion is approved. This bill moves to third reader. Transportation Committee.
City Council Bill 20-0518, RPP Area 2, Morgan, Planned Amendment.
Chair recognizes Councilman Dorsey.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Transportation Committee heard this bill on Wednesday, April 22nd, and there is an amendment to this bill which changes the effective date, and I would move the amendment favorable.
All those in favor of approving the amendment say aye.
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 All opposed say nay.
Mr. President, I sit on the planning.
Chair recognizes Councilman Stokes.
I sit on the Parking Authority Board, so I don't know if I need to abstain from this or not.
We'll note you as an abstention, but I don't believe that you do. But please note that Councilman Stokes abstained. All opposed say nay. The amendments are approved. Chair recognizes Councilman Dorsey.
Mr. President, before I move the bill favorable, I'd like to recognize Councilwoman Clark if she wants to say something about the bill.
Chair recognizes Councilman Clark.
Thank you to my colleague who helped me very much get this legislation together, the chair of the committee and of transportation. And thank you very much to Paula Purviance, the president of the Hill and Road Improvement Association, and to the Parking Authority for their approval, and to Paula Purviance for her persistence. Amen. We're going to take care of a couple blocks that need to be able to park in front of their, at least near the houses they live in. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilman Dorsey.
Move the bill favorable as amended.
All those in favor of approving this bill say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. The motion is approved. Please note Councilman Stokes has an abstention. The motion is approved. This bill moves to third reading. Third reader requires the invocation of City Council Rule 12-1 for a same-day advance from second to third reader.
City Council Bill 20-0505, Building, Fire, and Related Codes, 2020 edition. President Scott, Cohen, McCray, Dorsey, Henry, Schleifer, Middleton, Pinkett, Burnett, Bullock, Reisinger, Costello, Stokes, Snead, Clark.
This bill is approved.
City Council Bill 20-0519, Children and Youth Fund, Establishment and Permanent Fiscal Agent. President Scott, Cohen, McCray, Dorsey, Henry, Schleifer, Middleton, Pinkett, Burnett, Bullock, Reisinger, Costello, Stokes, Snead, Clark.
This bill is approved. Committee announcement. Members, when you hear the committee, please proceed with your announcement. We'll go to Budget and Appropriations and Judiciary for Councilman Costello first. Councilman Costello.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for suspension of rules 10.2 and 10.3 to announce a hearing.
Without objection, the rules will be suspended. The rules are suspended.
Thank you, Mr. President. Budget and Appropriations Committee will hold a hearing on Thursday, April 30th, 2020 at 2 p.m. This will be a virtual WebEx hearing for Bill 20-0521, Supplementary General Fund Operating Appropriation for the Sheriff in the amount of $37,600 at the request of the Department of Finance. Mr. President, I move to suspend Rules 10.2 to announce a hearing.
Without objection, the rules will be suspended. The rules are suspended.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Budget and Appropriations Committee will hold a hearing on Thursday, May 14th, 2020 at 2:30 p.m. This will be a virtual WebEx meeting. This is for Council Resolution 20-0213R, informational hearing, COVID-19 emergency spending at the request of Councilman Pinkett. Mr. President, I move to suspend Rules 10.2 and 10.3 to announce a hearing.
Without objection, the rules will be suspended. The rules are suspended.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Judiciary Committee will hold a hearing on Thursday, May 14th, 2020 at 2 p.m. This will be a virtual WebEx hearing. This is for Bill number 20-0522, Board of Municipal and Zoning Appeals, repeal of physically present requirements at the request of Councilman Schleifer on behalf of BMZA. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Next is Education and Youth Committee. Councilman Cohen.
Don't have one, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Equity and Structure Committee, Councilman Henry.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Wednesday, April 29th at 11 a.m., the Equity and Structure Committee will hold a virtual WebEx hearing on City Council 19-0381, Charter Amendment of Elected Officials. At 11:01 a.m. on that same date, Wednesday, April 29th, the Equity and Structure Committee will hear 19-0379, Charter Amendment Ordinance of Estimates. And at 11:03 a.m. on that same day, Wednesday, April 29th, the Equity and Structure Committee will have a virtual WebEx hearing on 19-0470, Charter Amendment Exercise of Legislative Powers. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Executive Appointments Committee? Thank you. Health Committee, Councilman Burnett.
Thank you, Mr. President. So two announcements. One on the Health Committee will be hearing Council Bill 20-0495 on May 7th at 5 p.m. That will be a virtual meeting. It's related to pesticide regulations. I'm sorry, I don't have the in front of me. Councilmember Clark's bill at the request of. And then just a reminder that tomorrow night, the Health Committee will also be reconvening the public hearing for the update for the coronavirus. tomorrow, April 28th, 6:30. That will be televised, our virtual meeting that will also be aired on Charm TV online. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Housing and Urban Affairs Committee, Councilman Bullock.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. The Housing and Urban Affairs Committee will be holding a virtual hearing on City Council Bill 19-0477, solid waste surcharges exemption. That will be on Tuesday, May 12th at 3:35 p.m. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Labor Committee, Councilwoman Snead.
Nothing.
Thank you. Legislative Investigations Committee, Councilman Burnett is saying no. Land Use Committee, Councilman Rosner.
Mr. President, I move for the suspension of the rules 10-2 and 10-3.
Without objection, the rules will be suspended. Rules are suspended.
Mr. President, the Land Use Committee will hold a hearing on Bill 20-0526 on Wednesday, May the 6th at 1:05 p.m. This is a virtual meeting. This is on Baltimore City COVID-19 Renter Relief Act. The committee will also hold a hearing on Bill 19-0359 on Wednesday, May the 20th at 1:05 p.m. This is a virtual meeting. This is a work session regards to open space zoning district, tree canopy preservation. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Public Safety Committee, Councilman Scheifler.
We have no new announcements at this time.
Thank you. Taxation, Finance, and Economic Development, Council Vice President Middleton.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Taxation, Finance, and Economic Development Committee will hear City Council Bill 20-0503R, and it is a University of Maryland at Baltimore approving an application for designation as a RISE zone. And that will be held Thursday, April 30th at 10:45 a.m. It's a virtual hearing right before the Water Accountability Act update hearing.
Thank you. Transportation Committee, Councilman Dorsey.
Nothing to announce, Mr. Council President.
Thank you. We're going to go back to Councilman Burnett in the Health Committee. Councilman Burnett.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sorry about that. So, again, May 7th, the Health Committee will be hearing Council Bill 20-0495, Pesticide Control and Regulation, and that will be at 5 p.m. on WebEx.
Thank you. Thank you. Regular announcements. I want to start off the regular announcements by wishing Council Vice President Middleton a happy birthday, as she already spoke for us on May the 1st. So happy birthday to the Council Vice President, and I know that she received her gift already at home. She can enjoy while she is teleworking. I also, as we move into regular announcements, I want to start by asking my colleagues in all of Baltimore a simple question. Do you remember where you were 5 years ago today? As we know, exactly 5 years ago today, our city erupted into unrest following the unfortunate and tragic death of Freddie Gray. And while many still connect the unrest solely to the tragedy around Mr. Gray's death, those who truly understand Baltimore know that it was much larger than that. In addition to that tragedy, the uprising in Baltimore was the result of decades of systematic and deliberate inequity in Baltimore over generations. While I certainly remember the smoke, the fire, fighting, and all the negativity that we saw that day, in particular that Councilman Burnett and I saw that day, I also vividly remember how the city came together to heal in the days and months after that. And while by no means are we the best Baltimore we can be, I do think it's important that we acknowledge that some great change has happened. And we all know that Baltimore, prior to 2015, had a long-term, long road ahead of us to being the best Baltimore we can be. And when I think about this new, active, lively city council that I see before me in this virtual chamber, I know that progress has been made over the past 5 years. Some of the accomplishments may not be sexy or immediate impact or immediate actions, but are ones that will have a long-term impact on Baltimore. And they are, in my opinion, a direct result of the unrest. Equity is now the law of the land. Trauma-informed care is the law of the land. Our streets will be complete, and our police department is being reformed through a consent decree. And while that progress has been made, I cannot and I will not ignore the fact that there is so much more to be done. Too many people continue to die on our streets through gun violence. Too many are continuing to die through overdose and the overdose epidemic. And now, in addition to that, in the existing inequity and the existing conditions in Baltimore neighborhoods, we are now facing the largest health pandemic in a lifetime. Baltimore, we can and will be the best Baltimore we can be, but we will only do that together and by working together now and for the long haul. We have to do what we have never done before in Baltimore, and that's willing to be uncomfortable and willing to work for the long-term systematic change. I look forward to working with all of my colleagues and anyone in Baltimore who really wants to get involved in change for the long haul, not for the immediacy, especially as we're now dealing with multiple crises at once. I also want to now ask that Council Vice President Middleton honor a moment of silence for the 85 victims of homicide that we've lost this year, all of those that we've lost to COVID-19 and the continuing overdose epidemic as well. Regular announcements, if you raise your hand, Councilman Dorsey.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. I want to echo everything that you've just said. And as the Transportation Committee Chair, and also as the leader on the Complete Streets Ordinance, I want to thank you for acknowledging that. I think it has particular relevance to the Baltimore uprising. With that, I just want to draw attention to the immediate stoking of the Baltimore uprising that had directly to do with the cutting off of transportation access for children who were being let out of school, and the shutting down of operations at Mondawmin. To date, we still have no answer as to who made that call. And to date, Baltimore Sun reporter Justin Fenton's Maryland Public Information request has continued to be denied by the MTA for the footage, claiming absurdly that the footage of the cameras that would show us exactly what happened at Mondawmin that day would somehow compromise the security of that location. This is absurd, and I just want to acknowledge that and say that I hope that one day we will have that footage released and have a little more clarity and honesty brought to what happened on that day. I want to thank you, all of my colleagues who signed on to the letter last week asking for Mayor Young to open up some of the city's streets to create safer space for people to move around the city and to engage in recreational activities under the current circumstances. I still hope that we can see some progress on this, although we have not so far. Other cities are making these kind of changes under these circumstances, and some are even going so far as to realize the benefits so greatly that they're making now permanent changes to their cities. I really do believe that in the deepest depths of challenges that we really have an obligation to look up as high as possible and see what opportunity lies in front of us to become an even better, stronger, more resilient city. And I think that that addressing our streets and public space for people is an important part of that. And so I just, again, want to thank everybody who did sign on to that letter last week. And finally, I want to just give acknowledgement to my staff member, Corey Page. He's had a challenging year with the loss of some close family members. And one of those was just last week. And I know that he's just kind of going through it right now. And I just want to express my love for him as a friend and as a staff member. and everybody to know that he has my support, and just ask that everybody keep him in your thoughts.
Thank you. Thank you. Chair recognizes Councilman Henry.
Thank you, Mr. President. A week ago Sunday, my father, the original Bill Henry, passed away. He was well known and liked and loved by many. I was overwhelmed by the response on social media in an environment where we could not actually gather and think about him and share stories together. My father was part of the civil rights movement in the 60s. He was part of a group that moved away from protesting against government to trying to reform government from within. But when he ran for state legislature, he lost to another recent immigrant from the Eastern Shore, a young man named Paul Sarbanes. I don't know if anybody has ever heard of him. But my dad found that while he didn't like being a candidate, he loved political campaigns. And while he did a bunch of other things over the years as his day job, he spent the rest of his life working on and running campaigns. And if he had one standard that he worked towards, it was to try to help good people get elected to office. And he was unforgiving in that if he helped you get elected and then you didn't do good stuff, he would work for your opponent next time. and I want you to know, Mr. President, that I am proud every time I get to stand and be or sit and be part of this body of people who all work every day, every week, all year long, trying to represent and help thousands of other people in Baltimore City. I do that because I watched my whole growing up how important that was. And I am glad to be part of this group as a way of honoring his memory. So I would ask tonight for a moment of silence for William B. Henry.
Thank you. Before I recognize Councilwoman Clark, I just have to, again, offer my condolences to you and your entire family, but also to tell a story. Back in, I think it was 2008 or 9, I was at a community meeting when I was a staffer, and your dad came over to me and was just having a conversation, and he said that, hey, I heard you're interested in one day in running for office. I said, well, yes, sir, that I am. And he says, well, you can't do that on the east side of Baltimore without talking to me. So when I decided to run for office, I absolutely gave him a call and made sure that I did not run afoul of the east side rule. So I just had to note that for everyone so that everyone knew that the original Bill Henry was a true trailblazer and a community leader, and nothing came through east side politics without going to him. Chair recognizes Councilwoman Clark.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council. I was one of those people that had to work with Bill Henry Sr., and it was a delight and an honor and a lifetime of learning for me. So when you were talking about equity, Mr. President, in our times now, I'm thinking all the way back to 1970, way long ago, when Bill Henry Sr. managed a campaign that everybody said could never succeed. My husband was involved. It was the Clark Dalton ticket for General Assembly, and it was 2 state senator candidates, 8 House of Delegate candidates, 8 Democratic Central Committee candidates. that adds up to 18. And so Bill Henry Sr. Was the manager, and he helped put together the Baltimore's first and the nation's, actually, totally balanced, at least mathematically balanced ticket of candidates in a district that had only seen one or two African Americans elected to the General Assembly. We had 9 from the East Side, 9 from the NDC2, all together, and the rules he'd set up, the rules. Everybody's literature had to have everybody's name and picture. Every reception had to be everybody. Even though we're going into a living room that's not going to handle us all, we're just going to overflow on the front porch. Everybody said it couldn't be done, and 15 out of that 19 got elected. And that was in 1970, and that was Bill Henry Sr. But most of all, he'd want me to say, never was there a more beloved father of his children. In the middle of all that, he was one of the finest fathers to kids. And they grew up real well, especially the daughter. And it's a great legacy, and thank you all here for carrying it on so diligently.
City recognizes Councilman Stokes.
Well, I guess everybody done said enough, but Bill Jr. and Lenore, first of all, I wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for Bill Henry. And I'm going to tell you the truth. He taught me how to run campaigns, and I got involved that way. And if it wasn't for Bill and other people, I would not be sitting there as a council person. But people forget that Bill Sr. had a tutorial program also. And some of the elected officials that still in office or some not were part of his tutorial program. So to Bill Jr., thank you, and Lenore and your mother for lending your dad to everybody in Baltimore City, probably the state of Maryland. And I learned a lot from this guy, and I love Bill like he's my father. I've been knowing him for 30 years, and it was sad to see him pass away. So our condolences go to you and your family.
Thank you. Any other committee announcements? There are none. Council Vice President Middleton.
Thank you, Mr. President. The next virtual council meeting will be held on Monday, May 11th, 2020 at 5 p.m. And may we have a moment of silence for William Bill Henry Sr., Romaine Barnes and William Barnes, and Dennis German, and prayers for the family of Corey Page, and also the families of the 85 homicides, the continued opioid epidemic, and the families that are suffering from COVID-19. Thank you.
Thank you. There being no further business, this concludes the 82nd meeting of the 72nd term of the Baltimore City Council.